Imagine waking up one morning and hearing that an army is coming. Not just any army, but an army so terrifying that entire cities choose suicide over surrender. Mothers kill their own children to spare them from what is coming. Kings abandon their thrones. Great empires collapse in weeks. And at the center of this storm is one man, born poor, hunted like an animal, betrayed by everyone he trusted. His name still sends chills through history. This is the story of Genghis Khan, the most feared man the world has ever known. He did not begin life as a conqueror. He began life as prey. Genghis Khan was born around 1162 on the cold Mongolian steppe. His birth name was Temujin. His world was harsh, empty, and cruel. Endless grasslands, freezing winters, burning summers, and constant violence. Life on the steppe was survival of the strongest. There were no cities, no castles, no safety. Only tribes constantly fighting over land, animals, and power. When Temujin was still a child, his father was poisoned by enemies. Suddenly, everything collapsed. His family was abandoned by their own tribe and left to starve. They were rejected, hunted, and mocked. Temujin grew up eating roots, rats, and scraps just to stay alive. Hunger was his teacher. Fear was his childhood friend. At one point, Temujin killed his own half-brother. The reason was simple and brutal: food. His brother tried to take food meant for the family. Temujin learned early that mercy could mean death. This moment shaped him forever. As a teenager, Temujin was captured by a rival tribe and enslaved. He was locked in a wooden collar and treated like an animal. Many men would have broken. Temujin did not. He escaped in the night, hiding in rivers, forests, and shadows. This escape became legend among the tribes. People began to whisper his name. But whispers were not enough. Temujin wanted power. The Mongolian tribes were divided, violent, and constantly betraying each other. Temujin understood something no one else did. If he could unite them, he could rule them. Not by bloodlines or tradition, but by loyalty and strength. He began gathering followers, not nobles. Not chiefs' sons, ordinary men, outcasts, slaves, warriors who were tired of weak leaders. Temujin rewarded loyalty and skill, not family ties. This was revolutionary. Men followed him not because of who he was born to, but because he protected them, fed them, and shared spoils equally. Slowly his army grew. Then the betrayals came. One of Temujin's closest friends, Jamuka, turned against him. They had sworn brotherhood. Now they became enemies. Jamuka believed only nobles should rule. Temujin believed anyone strong deserved power. Their war was brutal. Villages burned. Families were wiped out. Temujin eventually won. When he defeated Jamuka, Temujin did something shocking. He offered mercy. Jamuka refused, asking for a noble death. Temujin honored his wish and executed him without spilling blood, breaking his spine. Even in death, Temujin showed strange respect. In 1206, Temujin achieved the impossible. He united the Mongol tribes under one banner. He was given a new name. Genghis Khan. It meant universal ruler. The world was about to change forever. At first, Genghis Khan did not want to conquer the world. He wanted trade. He sent diplomats to the Khwarezmian Empire, a powerful Islamic state in Central Asia. He asked for peace and trade. The response was a disaster. The Khwarezmian governor murdered Genghis Khan's traders and shaved the heads of his diplomats, a deep insult. When Genghis Khan demanded justice, the Shah of Khwarezm insulted him again. This was the biggest mistake in history. Genghis Khan did not get angry. He got quiet. Then he unleashed hell. The Mongol army moved like nothing the world had ever seen. They were fast, disciplined, and terrifying. Each warrior could shoot arrows accurately while riding at full speed. They could travel incredible distances without supply lines, living off their horses and the land. Cities fell one by one. When a city resisted, the punishment was absolute destruction. Men, women, children, animals slaughtered, skulls piled into pyramids. Rivers turned red with blood. The message was clear: surrender and live, resist and disappear. This was not random cruelty. It was strategy. Fear was Genghis Khan's most powerful weapon. After a few cities were wiped out, many others surrendered without a fight. Gates opened before the Mongols even arrived. The reputation alone destroyed armies. Entire civilizations collapsed. The city of Nishapur was erased after a Mongol general was killed. Hundreds of thousands were slaughtered. Baghdad would later suffer a similar fate under Mongol rule, ending its golden age forever. Historians estimate that Genghis Khan's campaigns killed up to 40 million people. That was around 10% of the world's population at the time. No conqueror in history has ever caused destruction on that scale. But here is the shocking part. Genghis Khan was not just a monster. He was also a brilliant ruler. He banned torture within his empire. He promoted religious freedom. Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, and shamans could all worship freely. He outlawed kidnapping women, stealing livestock, and selling women as brides. These laws were radical for their time. He promoted people based on ability, not background. A former slave could become a general. A poor shepherd could become a governor. This created fierce loyalty. He created a postal system that allowed messages to travel faster than anywhere else in the world. He encouraged trade along the Silk Road, making it safer than it had ever been. Under Mongol rule, merchants could travel thousands of miles without being attacked. He also supported education and record-keeping, even though he himself could not read or write. Genghis Khan understood power better than anyone. He knew when to destroy and when to build. As his empire expanded, it became the largest land empire in human history, from China to Eastern Europe, from Siberia to the Middle East. An empire so vast that news traveled slowly across it, yet his laws were obeyed everywhere. European knights faced Mongol armies and were crushed. Heavy armor meant nothing against speed and arrows. Entire armies vanished. People believed the Mongols were demons sent by God. Even after all his victories, Genghis Khan never lived in luxury. He slept in tents, he dressed simply. He ate the same food as his soldiers. This made his men worship him. But death was always near. In 1227, during a campaign against the Western Xia kingdom, Genghis Khan died. The exact cause remains a mystery. Some say he fell from a horse. Others say he was wounded in battle. Some legends claim he was killed by a captive princess. His burial was kept secret. Soldiers killed anyone who saw the funeral procession. Even today, no one knows where his body lies. But his legacy did not die with him. His sons and grandsons continued his conquests. His empire expanded even further. China was fully conquered. Russia was dominated for centuries. The Middle East was shattered. Europe barely escaped invasion. Genghis Khan changed the world forever. Modern science has revealed something even more shocking. Around 1 in 200 men alive today are direct descendants of Genghis Khan. His DNA is spread across the globe. His blood still flows in millions of people. The man who once starved as a child became the ancestor of nations. So is Genghis Khan a hero or a villain? The answer is uncomfortable. He was both. He was a man shaped by violence who mastered violence better than anyone. A ruler who believed fear could bring peace. A destroyer who also built systems that shaped the modern world. Without Genghis Khan, history would look completely different. Nations, borders, cultures, and even technology were changed by his actions. He remains the most feared man in history, not just because of how many he killed, but because of how completely he reshaped the world. From a hungry child on the Mongolian steppe to a ruler who made the earth tremble, Genghis Khan proved one terrifying truth. One man, with enough will and brutality, can change the fate of humanity forever. But the story does not end with his death. In many ways, Genghis Khan became even more powerful after he was gone. When news of his death spread, it was kept secret for months. The Mongols believed that revealing it too early could weaken the empire. So while the world thought the storm had passed, the storm was only gathering strength. His sons took control. Unlike many empires that collapse after the death of a strong ruler, the Mongol Empire expanded. Genghis Khan had planned everything. He had trained his sons to rule with iron discipline. He had created laws that applied to everyone, even his own family. Disobedience meant death. His third son, Ogedei Khan, became the Great Khan. Under him, the Mongols continued their brutal march west and east. China burned, Korea fell. Russian cities were crushed one by one. Kiev, once a powerful city, was turned into rubble. Survivors described streets filled with bodies and the smell of death lasting for weeks. Europe panicked. Kings sent spies. Priests wrote letters calling the Mongols the wrath of God. Armies prepared for invasion. Some European leaders believed the end of the world had arrived. The Mongols reached as far as Hungary and Poland. European knights charged in heavy armor, confident in their strength. They were slaughtered. Mongol horse archers circled them, firing arrows until the knights collapsed from exhaustion and blood loss. No one had ever fought like this before. Then suddenly the Mongols stopped, not because they were defeated, because Ogedei Khan died. By Mongol law, all leaders had to return home to choose a new great Khan. Europe was saved by death and tradition, not victory. If Ogedei had lived longer, historians believe Europe might have fallen completely. The fear remained. For generations, parents warned children that the Mongols would come if they misbehaved. The name Genghis Khan became a symbol of unstoppable destruction. But inside the empire, something strange was happening. Under Mongol rule, trade exploded. The Silk Road became safer than ever before. Goods, ideas, and technologies moved freely between East and West. Paper money, gunpowder, printing, medicine, and navigation techniques spread across continents. The world became connected. For the first time in history, Europe and Asia were truly linked. Marco Polo traveled to China under Mongol protection. Merchants crossed deserts without fear of bandits. Knowledge moved faster than armies ever could. This was the hidden side of Genghis Khan's legacy. Yet even this had a dark cost. Along the same trade routes that carried silk and spices, death traveled too. The Black Death, one of the deadliest pandemics in history, spread along Mongol trade routes. Millions died. Some historians believe Mongol warfare and movement helped spread the plague across continents. Even in peace, death followed the empire. As decades passed, the Mongol Empire began to crack. It was simply too large. Power struggles grew, brothers fought brothers. Grandsons fought cousins. Slowly, the empire split into smaller khanates. The fear faded, cities were rebuilt. New empires rose, time moved on. But Genghis Khan never disappeared. His name remained in books, legends, and nightmares. Some remembered him as a butcher. Others saw him as a lawgiver and nation builder. In Mongolia, he became a national hero, the father of the nation. Statues were raised. His face appeared on money. Airports were named after him. The same man once blamed for rivers of blood was now honored as a symbol of unity. This is the final shock. History does not judge simply. Genghis Khan forced the world to confront its own violence. Before him, empires killed, enslaved, and conquered too. He simply did it faster, more efficiently, and without apology. He showed what happens when war is turned into science. He proved that fear could be weaponized. He proved that loyalty could be stronger than blood. He proved that systems could outlive the man who created them. Even today, generals study his tactics. Leaders study his laws. Scientists study his DNA. Storytellers repeat his name. The boy who was left to starve became a force that still echoes across time. The most feared man in history was not born a monster. He was made by hunger, betrayal, and survival. And once the world created him, it could never undo what followed.